give me some of the tools and things that I would need to be successful. Tools and things that I would need.
You should already know me. Like, you know I ain't going.
To another episode of SlabDoctor Fishing. Today we got an educational video. Today we're going to go to Slab School and we're going to do some fishing 101. One of the things that we're going to go over is going to be the different reels and rods to use. Next we want to talk about fishing knots. There are multiple types of fishing knots. Also we're going to talk about mechanics, understanding different fishing mechanics. The thing we're going to speak on is the bait and rig setup. These are just a couple of things just as a starter fisherman that you will need to know that help you be successful. Being a beginner fisherman can be very, very frustrating. It come with a lot of uncertainties and a lot of wasted money. So you are like how I was when I first started fishing. There was a lot of stuff I didn't know, but I did have some great people around me that were able to guide me and give me some of the tools and things that I would need to be successful. Now we're going to be discussing different rod types. Here we have we have 4 different reels, but 2 of them are in the same class. The first one I'm going to talk about is the spin cast. This is a beginner's reel. Zebco is a famous brand that produces these. It's very easy to use. This is the trigger or release, and it's more like your brakes on your line. So once I pull this down, my finger is now the brakes. Once I cast, I release this, the line can now come out. All right, the line will move freely until you lock it. You heard that click. Now the line is locked. It can't move. Next, we're going to move on to the spinning reel. All right, so we got spin cast and we got spinning reel. All right, this is a more universal reel. I prefer using spinning reels. They're very easy to use. This right here is the bell. This thing is similar to what this is on this rod. This is your brakes. All right, once you open this bell, you have no brakes. Your line will freely unspool without this being down. All right, so once you open this bell, your finger becomes the brakes. Okay, it is very versatile. You can catch all kind of fish. You can catch a fish on any reel, but the use of this reel right here is very versatile. All right, also with the spinning reel, a lot of them are interchangeable. So I can take this off. If you're left-handed, you can switch it, put it on left hand. If you're right-handed, you can switch it, put it on right hand. A lot of them are versatile just like that. I really prefer using this a lot of times. Next, we're going to move over to our bait casters. Bait casters are more for bass fishing. You can use them again. You can use any reel or rod. You can make it do for any fishing. But this is mainly used for bass fishing. Most of your competition fishers use the bait caster. Again, the mechanics are similar, but you have to kind of know what you're doing with a bait caster when you're setting up the tension on your rod and setting up the tension on your reel and things of that sort. With the bait caster, your finger is also the brakes again, but that trigger is here. All right, once you mash that down, your line will freely move. So your finger has to control how much line comes out. With the bait caster, once you cast your reel, unless you set that thing just right, and they got a few rods out there. I know the Shimano is one of those, but they got a few rods out there that kind of helps with the brakes and with you backlashing. But with the bait caster, your finger is the brakes, and you must put your finger on that line before it hits the water, or else you will have what we call a bird's nest or backlash. And all of this right here will film up, and you will get very frustrated with this thing very, very quick. Like I said, you must know what you're doing. The tension on these rods are here. The drag set on these are right here on the side. And then you also have this thing down here. This is how you test the weight of your lure to determine how much line is going to be coming out when you're casting. They also have brakes on the side. You can change your brakes on the side over here. Again, these are things you have to know what you're doing to use this. This takes some time getting used to and modifying. Next, we're going to move on to another bait caster. This is the bait caster. This is the ambassador. This is a, I want to say Shimano. Is it? No, Abu Garcia. This is a Abu Garcia. This is a ambassador bait caster. It works very similar to this one. I use this one for my much larger fish, like my catfish or my carp, gars. This is a more heavy duty reel right here. This thing right here gets the big ones in. The next thing I want to discuss is tying your knot. Now, because this is a video for beginners and this is fishing 101, we're only going to talk about my favorite knot and one of the strongest knots I know, which is the Palomar knot. This knot is very simple, very easy to do, and I can use it for everything from tying my knots, from every type of fishing style I do, from putting on weights. I use this knot for every single thing. So what you want to do is you want to take your line and you want to fold it just like that. So now we have two pieces. We have folded it. All right, what you want to do is take this and put it through the eye of your hook. Now what you want to do, you just want to tie it just like you, just a regular overhand knot, like you're tying your shoestring. Do it just like so. And before you tighten it up, before you cinch it down, you want to take the bottom of that hook, the bottom of that hole that you have, and you want to take it through the hook. You want to take it through the hook like this. Is the hook, and this is the eye of the hook, and this is the line. All right, so what you want to do is take that line, fold it in half, like so. Now that we have two pieces, we have that looped piece. What you want to do is stick it in the eye of the hook. All right. So now we still have the looped piece. All right. And you should want to do a regular overhand knot. And right before you cinch it down, you want to take the entire hook through it. And then cinch it down. Plain and simple. It is one of the strongest knots I know. All right. That little piece that's left over, you cut that off. That's what we call the tag end. You cut that tag end off, and there you go. There you have it. Okay. I know some people may say, well, what about small hooks? It's hard to send that doubled line through on a smaller hook. And before when I first started doing this, I had problem with that. But simple solution. Like this is a very tiny hook. If you notice, the eye is very small on this one, very small on this hook. So, which makes it very hard to put the double line through. All you have to do, take it through once and bring it back. Plain and simple. Now you have your double and you just overhand knot it. Plain and simple. And then right before you cinch it down, you take the whole hook through that loop. There you go. And that tag end that's left over, just clip that off. All right, plain and simple, very easy. Now we're going to talk about we're going to talk about the mechanics of using a rod. First of all, we're going to talk about casting. Whenever you cast a rod, a lot of people would like to cast all wild and crazy and sling all into it. It doesn't take all that, truly, your cast is just in the wrist. You can take your rod and keep it here and just a quick flick, and that'll send your rod where it needs to go. Another thing I like to tell people is when you cast to get an accurate cast, you want to cast directly over your shoulder, straight ahead. All right, that'll send your rod, and if you want to hear, you take it there. Taking it from your arm, just like bowling, you want to go directly from your shoulder on, and your accuracy will be spot on, especially when you're trying to get into little tiny spots. Now, when we're using bait casting and you're skipping, that's different. But whenever you're just overhead casting, that's a simple way to cast. Second thing I want to talk about is setting your drag. All right, when we talk about drag, this is the amount of tension that you put on your brakes on your line. So when a fish bites down on the line like this, it wants to take off. All right, if this drag is very tight, the fish can't go anywhere. If the fish is small, can't move. All right, this when you see those lines bend down. Well, the problem we run into something like this, if the fish is a heavier or stronger fish than what your line can handle, he's going to take off and he's going to pop this instantly and you're going to lose your fish. So what we like to do is we like to set our drag just enough so that when the fish run, It's not too much tension, but there's enough to kind of tire the fish out. All right, so once the fish take off running and he's going, you can start reeling. Start reeling them in. But this is your breaks of how much he can run and how much you can pull in. If you're pulling on him, you're reeling and he's not coming in, he's not moving, not budging,
I didn't get that.
tighten up that. Sorry. Tighten up that drag just a little bit. Then start reeling. You know, you can tire him out and bring him in. If your drag is too loose, he's just going to run off with your line, and you're never going to reel him in. You can reel and reel and reel all day. He's just going to keep going. You're not going to get him in. So you want to make sure you adjust your drag. A lot of people forget to adjust their drag, especially after coming back from a fishing trip. After you done put your rods up and tightened all these up, a lot of people come back out next day or whenever they come back out and fish and forget to set their drag. And they'll have it all tight and have it out there, and they'll get a fish on, and it'll either snap their rod, snap their line, or take their rod with them. You have to set your drag. It's very important. The drag set on a spinning reel is right here at the top, like we mentioned. Drag set on a bait caster is right here on the side. Excuse me. And the drag set on a spin cast is right in the front most of the times. Next, we're going to talk about hook sets. So why is a hook set important? Whenever a fish bites the bait of a line, or whenever he gets it in his mouth, he bites down like
oh my God, bro.
Oh, hell. It's so that the hook goes in the lip or the roof or the bottom of the lip on the fish. Setting the hook can be the biggest difference from catching a fish and then losing a fish, especially when you're dealing with smaller fish or smart fish like crappie and bass. Not so much with the brim. They're very, they're kind of simple. But there are two things with the drag. It doesn't take all your power to set a drag. I see a lot of guys, they zip and zoom, and you're going to ruin your equipment doing that. It doesn't take all that. I've never had a fish that I couldn't get in on a simple hook set. It doesn't take all that. I've never had to yank my rod and reel just to get a fish in and hook them. It never takes that. I don't care what nobody tells you. You do not need to do all that. It doesn't take all that. Just a simple, and these hooks are very sharp. If the fish is going to get caught, he's going to get caught off a simple. It don't take all that. You don't have to do all that. The next thing is it's going to take time to feel what a bite feels like, especially depending on how much line you're using, the size of the line, the size of the rod. It's going to take a minute to feel that hook when the fish bite. I'm sorry. So you got to pay attention. You got to keep the rod in your hand, so you can get used to feeling that hook.